Welcome to the latest episode of Future Media, a podcast that shares the lessons I've learned over 30 years at the top of the media and tech industries, with a few real-life stories and radical new ideas thrown in to spice things up. My name is Ricky Sutton, and I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to my Future Media Substack channel. I hope you enjoy this latest pod. Most discussions about AI begin and end with how big tech scraped the open web and stole content, and then used it to train their AI models without permission. That's all true. The act was egregious, and it's being litigated. But there's a more important and game-changing nuance that has huge benefits for news media that is getting too little attention. Training the AIs was foundational, a first and essential step, but that alone will not generate the billions that big tech needs to see repaid. After all, it wasn't Sir Tim Berners-Lee's HTTP protocol that created value on the World Wide Web. It was Zuck and his like, who built the products on it. They were the ones to bank billions. That history lesson should teach us that the road to AI riches is through killer apps, and that's where our focus should be. Most of these use cases haven't even been imagined yet, but some that we already know will port over to the future, and the biggest of these is search. This next bit is big, so let me explain my hypothesis. In précis, the World Wide Web as we know it is showing its age, and the war for it has been won. Google owns search, Meta owns social, and both are now so big that no one else can compete. They have such reach that they have hoovered up almost all the world's advertising, making it game, set, and match to them. But that obscures two very important truths for those of us in the creative industry. The first is that publishing isn't failing because people don't want the news. Not at all. The data shows people want news more than ever. But the painful fact is that consumers are choosing to get it from search and from social. The second is advertising is booming, not failing, and people are buying more ads than ever, and more people are clicking on them. It's just that the brands and agencies that trade those billions of ads are choosing to spend nearly all their budgets with Meta and Google. The conclusion is that today's web has been bought and sold. Google has built the rails, and Meta owns the trains. The rest of us are just passengers along for the ride. But AI redraws the landscape. So far, publishers have been distracted by the small vision that AI has the ability to create new content, and perhaps more cheaply. But doing more for less on a web your competitors own is not going to end 20 years of failure. The riches are in building that elusive killer app. After a decade running a global AI business, and after spending the past year deep diving into the latest releases of ChatGPT, Gemini, and the rest, my behavior has fundamentally changed. All my searching is now done by AI and done through voice. I ask Copilot in plain language what I want, and I do it without ever typing into my phone or browser. That's a game changer that derails search and Google with it. That puts $1.7 trillion of valuation back in play for those who can take ground amid AI's era of disruption. Publishers should also put their best brains on figuring out how content will be delivered in an AI future. My search responses aren't text or links, they are spoken back to me. What does news UX look like for that? The truth is that the volume of news I am reading online is falling, yet the amount of online news I am consuming is increasing. The fact is that AI has fundamentally changed the format that I receive my news in. It reads it to me, while I'm driving, walking, running, etc. That fits better into my busy life, and that has profound implications. This is a new form of digital disintermediation that brings with it the threat of less page views and less ads for publishers. And that's from someone who loves the news more than anyone. If your most ardent fan is changing their behavior, then you need to as well, or risk being left behind. Listen to this. I am about to ask Microsoft's Copilot to read me the top tech headlines from the New York Times without ever going to the New York Times website, or paying a subscription, or even touching a key on my phone or keyboard. It's all 100% voice activated, and this is an insight into how my experience of search and news discovery has changed. Soon, everyone else's will too.
Tell me the top 5 stories on the New York Times technology section this morning. Here are the top 5 stories from the New York Times technology section this morning. OpenAI unveils AI that instantly generates eye-popping videos. The startup is sharing the new technology, called Sora, with a small group of early testers as it tries to understand the potential dangers. Chinese influence campaign pushes disunity before US election. Study says a long-running network of accounts, known as spamouflage, is using AI-generated images to amplify negative narratives involving the presidential race. SpaceX is now incorporated in Texas, Elon Musk says. The billionaire said his private rocket company was reincorporating from Delaware, where he recently lost a case over his pay package as head of Tesla. Tesla's chair under scrutiny for oversight of Elon Musk, Robin Denholm, who has led the electric car company's board for more than 5 years, has been criticized for not serving as a check on Mr. Musk. How to give your photos and videos a vintage look. Vision Pro review. Apple's first headset lacks polish and purpose.
That's the future of search, and the solution to my morning commute, and my time-poor workday right there. I spent a total of 2 hours and 38 minutes talking with Copilot yesterday, but this doesn't have to be bad. If AI creates a new era for content discovery and delivery, then it leads down a path to an inevitable splinter net. In that future, today's web remains dominated by Google and Meta. That leaves space for a new AI-optimized web to emerge, based on Copilot and other AIs, which integrates into every device, which is paid for and premium. Governments and antitrust regulators would get what they want: a digital future where content creators, publishers, consumers, and advertisers have more choice and competition. It's not far-fetched. It's actually happening. Confirmation of the impending breakup came this week when Microsoft's partner OpenAI announced it was building, you guessed it, a search engine. Think about that. Microsoft needs to own the premium web. If it builds the winning AI search tool, then it has a moat to keep its deadly rival Google out. And a premium web requires premium publishers, which means Microsoft is motivated to support the news industry. We just saw Act 1, Scene 1. Moments after OpenAI and Microsoft announced the search engine plan, Google's share price cratered 3.6%, or $66 billion. The battle for the future is well and truly underway. Publishing's fate lies in building the killer apps that will drive AI forward and choosing the right partners to work with. Thanks for listening. I know your time is valuable. Look, the future of the web will impact on us all and the generations that come after us. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, Apple. They're all jostling for the next $1 trillion, but it's all up for grabs. The experience you get when you next look at a screen will be decided by these events and your next decisions. So, stay across my Future Media Substack. Sign up if you haven't already, and stay tuned. Thanks for your time, and I'll be back soon.